On this part of the drywall, a TV bracket used to be mounted, not anymore, and the holes have been filled. In this video, I'll show you how to fill the holes and do small cosmetic drywall repair or small patch repair. I'll show you the tools and how it's done. It's very fast. I didn't do the filling. It's ghastly in terms of quality, but it works. It just needs a little extra standing. A little extra in this case involves 5 extra seconds. So, tools that's needed, of course, you need a drywall compound that dries usually white like that, and it usually gets filled in not this coarsely, because much of this drywall mud is now going to be sanded away, so there's no point wasting drywall mud and creating airborne dust. There are a few more spots down there, also just bad quality, let's go with that. So for filling you can use any tool, but why not use a decent drywall tool, and the mud, drywall compound or drywall mud is just filled in the hole, and that's it. You can use a kitchen knife, probably somebody tried it with a kitchen knife, or even you can just finger press it in place for cosmetic repair. Small spots like this, just work it into a hole with your finger, perfectly fine. You don't, or you may not need a flat bladed tool like this, but like I said, a plastic knife will work, or a spoon, something. For drywall sanding, you can use a piece of sandpaper. Just make sure it's clean so the drywall doesn't get dirtied. Like unused sandpaper would be nice, or one that's been used before. I'm using this open mesh. It's a drywall sanding mesh, 120 grit or something like that. And sanding is fairly straightforward, but do wear a dust mask with a particulate filter that works with this particle size, or vacuum everything in right away. Whatever combination of things you can do, go for it. So if I zoom in to one of the patches, you can see how this sanding is done in just seconds. Done. Okay, so it's still not perfect, but it's gonna get fixed with a second coat, because that's to be expected. That drywall, it's not because it's being filled in this badly. Done. So that's all the sanding it needs. It doesn't need to be dished out, okay, that would be a bad idea. So the extra 5 seconds that this bad drywall filling needs is the 5 seconds extra on everything combined, because it's really this easy. Okay, let me just do the sanding here. It's easy and it's not tiring. Of course, when you just have small patches to work on, when you have hundreds of meters or feet to work on, it's a completely different story. So all the drywall dust falls down there, not only on the floor but also on top of the baseboard. And filling in the holes is straightforward with a second coat, but you do need, of course, a bucket of, or some drywall compound. Here is this one, general purpose drywall compound. Take out some, oh, that's way too much. Of course, it has to be nice and moist and kept not dry. And instead of down there where I still haven't finished sanding, I'm just gonna do a little patch filling here, there, there, there. So that's all the tooling it ever needs. That is it. No more work is needed on this one. It needs to dry, usually takes 24 hours. And then it can be resanded 24 hours if there's enough heat on it. If you take a closer look, it's minimal amount of sanding, even less sanding than it was previously. Small amounts of drywall need not be thrown away or washed away, but if you don't wash your tools, it's gonna be drying like this, spotty. I gave it to a clueless person who didn't wash the tool on time. So small amounts can be used in even smaller patch fixes, such as this one here. And of course, it's equally not rocket science. There, minimal amount of sanding is required. You can see my fingerprint in it. And once it's dry, it's just one last sanding, good to go for repainting. You can also just put the leftover mud back into the bucket. Yes, it's expected that the steel tool will leave some marks on the wall. So in terms of cleanup, now whether you need this much drywall mud or just a small amount in a tube, definitely when there's moisture on it, nice, keep the drywall mud muddy. But if it dries out, you can always add water, mix it up, and it doesn't spoil. Okay, so that's that. Hands clean up really easily from this drywall compound, and this needs to be cleaned up because otherwise it's gonna dry spotted. So it dissolves in water, very straightforward. That also means that if the drywall gets wet, it's gonna dissolve off the drywall, but hey, so that's how drywall compounds are made, and the walls aren't supposed to get wet, such as leaks or floods. So that's that. This needs drying. Shush, don't tell her I used the kitchen, whatever. Okay, I could use paper towel. There, paper towel, so that it's spotless, because this corrosion pits out the metal, and if the edge is not straight, you can of course fix it on a piece of sandpaper, on a flat piece of float glass or something, and run it straight. But hey, if you have nicks or corrosion, chunks of metal missing due to corrosion, it's not gonna leave a groove there. It's not gonna leave a smooth surface. And this one doesn't much get cleaned up, but it does get the dirt, I do, shaken out of it. I have already done it, like so, very straightforward. So that's how it works. That's all that it involves. It's just to get ready for dust and get ready for two, these are not coats, but something like that. So 2 sandings and 2 patchings.